There we go, handing over to you, Kay. Thank you so much for joining us. I have seen a lot about you at the Champneys event that you've all been organising, about resilience and power. And I think particularly for me, where I've started a new business and I'm coming back into spa, I have definitely realised that I need to focus more on my power and my resilience. So I personally am really excited to learn more about the course you're providing and the workshops you're providing as well.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'm grateful to be on this platform. It's a great platform that is now starting to connect people, which is really at the nucleus of everything that I'm channeling right now in my personal space, life and career. And is the reason why I launched Resilience and Power as well. So thank you very much. And obviously to whoever listens to this in the future, thank you also. So yeah, I'd like to begin with a little bit of a story, because I believe that people like to know the why. Why have you launched this business? Some people listening may know my background, others may not. So it's just to create a little bit of substance and clarity, because I've been in this industry an awful long time. I'm now a veteran, and it comes from the back of a lot of hard work and a lot of success has led me to some really prestigious roles in the industry. And like I said, I've worked hard, just like many other spa operators. And you get that job description, you get the company car, you get the bigger salary, you get bigger responsibility all along the way. But all along the way, at no point did anyone ever stop me to say, how are you? Where are you? And how, we talk about things like work-life balance and personal wellness and personal health, but in its reality, was that ever actually happening? And was that ever really tapped into in terms of personal development? Because when it comes to the core, a lot of spa operators face challenges with getting budget for training for personal development, because there's no revenue attached to it, etc. And sometimes that's been one of my challenges. However, on the flip side, one of my successes, my biggest successes has been winning Spa Leader Awards, managing large teams, hundreds of therapists, guiding them, leading them, influencing them, all through my own wisdom and my own channels. And it kind of struck me one day where I just thought, that is clearly my strength. It's clearly something that I'm good at. And now, at that time I was in a certain place in my life, I thought, I want to focus on channeling that a lot more, and giving and empowering and growing, not just women, but everybody within this sector to be confident, to be powerful within themselves. And that was born from many years of, comments from others saying to me things like, oh, I couldn't do what you do, or, oh, that would be too much hassle for me. I couldn't be bothered with that. I couldn't cope with that. And so it really made me think, twice about, well, why am I who I am, and how have I overcome these challenges, and why do I keep going after these, ambitious roles, and what's got me through, and what is the secret? And so following, doing my own, internal MOT and check, and going on several courses in positive psychology, etc., and resilience, I understood a lot about myself, and then decided to write these programs to help others in the industry, because we've all got the vision and the ambition to be successful, but what we don't always understand is how we manage success versus life. And life can change, and we don't often address things like change management. We don't talk about personal connection. We don't talk about overcoming challenges, how to become resilient. We don't talk about techniques on how to deal with stress, trauma. When we're feeling we've got imposter syndrome, we talk about it sometimes, but we don't really get to the crux of how how we can work through it. So my aims and objectives within my business is to tackle a lot of these subjects, and I have a workbook. I have 3 workbooks actually that I've written, and they speak to therapist level, senior managers, and then obviously senior leaders and above, which is why we did the Champneys Leadership Day in January, and it was a really great success. So these are my aims and objectives with Resilience and Power, and these workshops can be a full day, 2 days, tailor-made to your business. So I do a consultation with the business prior to find out what your goals are, what your challenges are, and where you want to improve within your people. And then I'll dissect and write up a plan to try and solutionize some of your areas where you feel could be stronger. So within the workplace, I believe there is a spectrum, just like everything else in the world, mental health spectrum, well-being spectrum, but the workplace spectrum is also really important. And not on many occasions do we actually stop to think about how people feel in themselves. And feeling is so important in our industry, because it's the nuts and bolts of what we deliver, what we do. We're connecting, we're an emotional industry. But yet, with all of the massages that we deliver and the treatments and the networking events, sometimes even just the day-to-day workplace, or just if you're a business owner yourself, it's sometimes it's hard to just stop and just have a moment to think about how you feel and ask yourself these important questions, not just am I okay or not, but where am I today? How do I feel? What's pushing me? What's pulling me? Where do I need to invest my energy? How am I communicating right now with myself? It always starts with yourself. To others, is it effective? Am I wasting time? Am I exhausting myself? As we spoke of before you recorded, sometimes you need to just take a step back and step off and hide for a while. We've all got our own styles and approach of how we manage, but also how do we stay connected? And is that connection authentic, or is it constantly through social channels? Do we need to actually pick up the phone a lot more, or make more time to meet people face to face? Or do we need to disconnect? That's the other thing. But sometimes we don't ask ourselves these questions. And when you're working in a big organization in particular, this can be quite pivotal to the success of your team if you're not actively checking in with the people to ask these questions, or as a leader, if you're not checking in with yourself, it can be pivotal. So feelings or emotions are a huge part of what we do, and we need to always remind ourselves that as being within this industry. And I remember once somebody did say to me at the end of a presentation that I needed to take the emotion out of it, and it's always stuck with me, because I disagree. I believe that emotion is the heart of everything that we do in our industry. So obviously, touching on things like low self-esteem, in my career, people often deem me, or have done, as being, a spa leader, a marathon runner, and all those great things we talk about. But this is the real deal of what I've had to deal with in my internal space through my career. And it's that self-criticism, it's that low self-esteem, it's the doubt. And I think the more that we address this as people, as humans, and talk to each other about what we're afraid of, what we need to overcome, then we can all be stronger. But ultimately, if something is making you feel like this, then that is a problem. Whether it be a person, whether it be the workplace, whether it be something, it's the universe communicating with you to tell you that this is not good and this is not right, and something needs to change, because it's in your gut, and it's triggering you to feel anxious and afraid. So this is what we tackle in my Resilience and Power sessions. We get to the real crux of what is pulling you back, and how to eradicate that. And we do that through connection strategies. So it's not all spiritual and positive psychology. We actually do some business building techniques as well. We look at how addressing some of these topics can increase productivity, engagement, retention, and trust. And I give the business an idea of how we can create a strategy for them. So it's bespoke and it speaks to their business and their people. Because trust is at the baseline of every single success. Because if you can't trust in yourself and you can't trust your workspace colleagues, it's very similar to having a relationship. If you're not going to stick with somebody because they keep buying you nice presents and give you lots of compliments, and you need to trust. Trust is everything. And I spoke a lot about this in a recent talk at UK Spa Association in March. Trust is at the epicenter of everything when it comes to resilience. And through connection, having these strategies in place to connect with your team can amplify the stats when it comes to recruitment and retention, which is always a topic that comes up every year in every network session. And we know that through the power of connection. You know, the stats are there by Forbes. 260% of employees have so much more motivation. They're just happy people. And when you dissect why people leave a business, it's often because of a person or the fact that, they're just not happy. It's not always about pay. It's about connection and how involved they feel, how connected they feel, how valuable they feel within that business. 80% retention. So if you, again, when I was in an existing role with a large team, I held a very strong rate of 73% retention over 8 years, which was 800 staff. I'm quite happy to take that as a thumbs up through connection, through holding the face-to-face meetings, the eye contact, the morning briefs, the recognition. It's really, really important. Equating in 41% less turnover and 40% more productivity. Who doesn't want that within their business? So to address the reason for my session today, which is clearly on resilience, there are 3 key cornerstones that I feel exist for us in the spa industry and in business. So those 3 cornerstones are control. So if you can educate yourself to be in control of your head, your heart, your gut, your mind, and not allow other influences to take over you and not allow other people's concerns to over consume you, and just channel yourself, even if you're having the worst day ever and you're suffering things like grief, anxiety, addiction, terrible things that people suffer in life. If you can just micromise it and step into your space of control and only think about what you are in control of and your next step in that minute, then that can be so valuable to you to make yourself more powerful within and be able to make the right decisions day by day. Because life is overwhelming and sometimes we feel like we're thrust into making quick decisions quickly, fast, and pressure to appease other people. But the space within self-control is huge. And I'd love to just do a session on this all day. But I call it the circle of power. And in the Resilience and Power workbook, we do a big session on the circle of power. And it is really quite empowering to do, because you dissect very quickly all of the things that you're worrying about, keep you up till 4 o'clock in the morning, or you feel that weight on your shoulders, and you realize that half of it doesn't even matter because it's not within your control. So it's one of my great tips and exercises. The next one is trust and connection, and I put this one on because trust in yourself is the first port of call. Trust in your decisions. Own your decisions. make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to mess things up and think, oh my goodness, you know, that was such a bad move. You know, I made a mistake, but owning it is even more powerful. Owning it and learning from it. Trusting yourself is so important. And I often take myself off on my own for walks, runs, just in a space where it's very lonely, because it's me with me and it's me with my head. And I have to trust in myself to absorb all the goodness and the badness, whichever it is. I have to own it. And through that, you build connection, and then you build a psychological antenna, which then becomes stronger every day. And suddenly you're guiding yourself into a better position. You're making better decisions. You're more clear. You've got lots more clarity because you're trusting in yourself. And you're just shutting out everything, all the noise, and empowering yourself with confidence. And my third one is take the challenge. Don't give up. You know, never is never. Again, and this comes back to the, oh, I couldn't do what you do. I couldn't take on that challenge, or I couldn't be bothered with that. Well, unless you put yourself through it and suffer the pitfalls and the, you know, what I call sitting in the swamp, where you feel like you're out of your depth and you're scared and afraid. When you come out, you're so much stronger, and that's what builds your confidence. So don't be afraid to step out of that comfort zone and do something totally mad and ridiculous that you would never have thought you would ever do. Just try it. Just get on the journey. Just take yourself on a challenge and build that confidence, because that will actually build resilience naturally. So they're my top three pillars of what I would say is cornerstones of success. But there is so much more I could give to this. There's so much more I'd like to share, but it's very difficult because it's quite a deep topic, is resilience. And ultimately, resilience is not about success. It's not about running marathons. It's not about having the best IQ or having, you know, lots of money or a big house. It's actually just comes from within. It's about the ability to withstand life and what life throws at us, and having the confidence to do great things, to make changes, to cope with challenge and stress, and more importantly, just to be satisfied with who you are, what you do, and focus. Have a lot of focus. So, in a nutshell, that is what I'm offering to the industry. I've worked with quite a few spa operators. I've worked with companies most recently with their senior management in particular, which has been fantastic. Currently working obviously with Image Skincare as well with their sales teams. I've worked in Budapest with 120 women where we had a language barrier and we couldn't speak each other's languages, but I thought, hey ho, take that challenge, Kay, do it, throw yourself into it. And it was probably one of the most, profounding, effective times in my life, because it was all on energy and it was all on reading facial expressions. It was all about connection. So they're my three cornerstones. I'd love to be able to now ask you all to, throw questions at me or thoughts, whatever it is. And ultimately, I just want to leave you with image, because it's the backpack of power. And once you go on the journey with resilience and power, you'll always have tools. And once you learn them tools, they're going to be in your backpack forever to use in life or business whenever you need it.
Oh, thank you, Kay. Thank you so much. I think it was, do you know what touched me the most was the growth circles that you have, because I tell you, I live between the scared and learning part of life.
Yeah.
But to see it charted really helped to kind of put it into perspective. What's your biggest thing that you've learned since stepping away from just putting putting that into context, what's the biggest thing that you've learned since stepping away from Centre Parks and kind of taking on your own sort of consultancy and running the workshops that you're running with Champneys? What have you really learned about yourself?
Learned that I'm strong within, and a level of self-satisfaction. Working for a great company, Centre Parks is such a great company to work with, as is lots of other big, corporate companies within our industry. And I loved my time. I've loved my whole career, but it was just a time and a space for me where I felt I needed to break away. And at first I was surrounded by my own fear, coming away, stepping away, going on your own. And, will people still value me the same as what they did before? Because a lot of spa operators will value this, what I'm about to say. And that is, when you are a spa operator, you're very desirable. Everybody wants to work with you. Everyone wants to get their brand in your spa. And then suddenly, when you become something else, which is, for me, was my true self, I did have the fear that people would not want to communicate with me the same, or I would be of less value to them. And I'm sure that's what goes through the minds of lots of people when they're changing role in the industry. It's that imposter syndrome. But I literally had to take all of my learnings and use them myself, because to overcome the fear. And as you know, Sarah, it's hard when you're on your own, because you've got no structure, or you've got no regular salary coming in. You've got no it's every day it's like a new day, which is great, but it can be scary. So what I've learned about myself is I'm not afraid to face fear. I'm not afraid, and I'll keep taking on the challenges, and I'll keep working through it. And clearly I am the brand. I'm resilient and I'm powerful,
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It is the learning, isn't it? And it is you are on your own when you go into business. But I think also as a spa operator, you can be quite on your own as well when you're sort of having to be the leader of the team. You haven't got someone that you can necessarily talk with openly, because as you say, you still want to remain desirable within the industry. You still have to have this kind of, everything's great, it's amazing, but actually inside you can be thinking, oh my goodness, I just don't want to go to work today. And that was something actually that Julie and I were talking about with Carly, is that sometimes if you are a spa leader and you're approaching your role with that vibe, that energy of I don't want to be here today, or I'm not feeling resilient, then that energy sparks into your team, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's okay as well to feel like that, because that shows vulnerability, and vulnerability also is an alignment with connection, because people then see you as being human and real. And often last year in particular, I posted a lot about change that was happening for me, because the change was making me feel very vulnerable, and endings to things where you've had it in your life maybe a long time and it's suddenly gone. It's like things like we talk about grief, we talk about change, we talk about menopause. These are big events in life that nobody actually educates us on when we're at school. We just get thrown into it, and then we have to manage it ourselves. So yeah, 100%.
I'm going to ask if anyone else would, Fiona, Danielle, Julie, have you got any questions you'd like to ask Kay?
Yeah, nothing for me, Sarah. Thank you.
No, that's okay.
I don't have any questions at all, but I think, hi, Kay.
Hi.
You all right?
Yes, lovely to see you on the call.
No, I haven't got any questions really. I just think that what you're doing is really, really great. And I think, like you say, we all go through those times, don't we? And, it was really lovely, your presentation. I definitely took some things away from it. So thank you very much. It's helped me a great deal at the moment.
Oh, thank you. And anytime you need to reach out, as well to me personally, then that would be great.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And your workshop with Fabian, that's on the 14th of October, is that right?
Yeah, so we're doing a
Yeah.
second one because the last one was really popular, and we had a mixture of consultants, spa operators, sales managers, so a real dolly mixture of people from all over the industry attend, and it spoke to all of them. And that we were doing a rerun of the same delivery that we did in January, but then in January 26th, we're going to do a brand new version for so the people that came in January last year can then do a step 2.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, so you'll do that again in the winter. You'll do the
so
October one and then do the next step again.
Yeah, so if you've missed January this year, you can come to October the 14th, and then we're going to do an upshot again in January next year. So we're going to do a revival of all of it, and we hope that the numbers from both might come together. But it's the feedback's been really great, and it's nothing better than having it in a spa environment as well, because people can use the facilities and stay over,
Amazing.
have conversations, have dinner with each other, and just use it as a retreat for them as well at the same time.
Brilliant. I'll repost it as well to share it again. Fabian shared it about a month ago, but I'll repost it as well now in case anyone else would like to join. I think I'll come along, to be honest. It does sound amazing.
Love you too.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much, Kay, for today. I really appreciate it. I know that a lot of us will take things away and maybe get to you privately and ask questions, or maybe want to look more into detail in your workshops. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it was lovely to connect with you last week as well in person.
It was lovely, wasn't it? It was really nice to have that conversation face to face. And I look forward to your next event as well, which hopefully can come to in October. You're having yours.
Yeah, just a few days after.
Yes, we can do it all.
Busy week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh,